Welcome to the Trails Collective interview series. I'm thrilled to have you tonight. Where are you coming to us from?
I am in Goshen, Vermont. I'm
Okay.
living with I'm living with my parents right now. I'm actually in they own a little bed and breakfast. So I'm in room number three,
Oh, well, that's
down the
convenient.
hall. Yep.
How long have you been living with them?
I moved back in May, I think. I've been living in Boston and just like couldn't stand the city. So yeah, got out of there quick and have been in room number three since.
So, did you leave because of COVID, or did you leave because you really just didn't like Boston?
All my I'm in school and all my classes and stuff went online. I don't mind Boston. I've amazing roommates there and it's great, but it was just felt a little bit like too many people all together. And I'm right in the middle of like beautiful national forest here, running trails everywhere. So I just kind of couldn't resist. Yeah, it's been nice kind of spend a little time with my parents and my little brother's here too, and my dog. So getting sick of it though.
Yeah, I'm sure we all want to go back to some semblance of normal here soon.
Yeah.
So in Boston, are you still doing your PhD?
Yeah, trying to.
So that's in
um,
philosophy from Harvard, yes?
yeah, that's right.
So, let's talk about that. I actually do know a bunch of Sabrina Little, Mario
Yeah.
Fraioli. There are a lot of running philosophers. So, so talk to me about that. What made you decide to get a degree and now a PhD in philosophy?
That's a very, very big question. I don't think it was the kind of thing where I was like, oh, this is like, my one true calling. I think I started off as an environmental studies major, and did some like education stuff too in college. But I just think I realized that the sorts of questions I was most interested in were the philosophical ones. Um, took like an environmental ethics class with a great professor. And then I got a grant to go to New Zealand for a year and get a master's. And there I studied some stuff about like the philosophical underpinnings of their like water rights policy.
Hmm.
And I was just like skiing and running like 3 days a week. So I was like, wow, academia is so great, so much flexibility. Um, Turns out it's not really like that, but yeah, I love the like just get the flexibility of the sorts of questions you get to ask, and like I just get to hang out with super smart people that want to talk about interesting stuff. It's just like a different sort of ultra marathon, I think.
Sure,
Requires maybe the same kind of persistence.
sure. It's like the ultra marathon with no end, though, right?
Yeah, I will finish the PhD at some point, but then I guess yeah, you do just sort of keep doing the same thing. But
Oh, well, I didn't
for
mean
the
the
most part, I'm
PhD. I mean
I'm loving it.
the theoretical questions you ask. Sometimes they don't have an answer. I didn't mean the PhD. I meant so some philosophical questions, they just don't have an answer. You can debate them for, you know, as long as us runners debate training styles, you can debate these questions. So what type of things are you, working on? What intrigued you from that environmental ethics class? What did you really just oh, I want to learn more about that?
Yeah, I think I started with questions about like how humans should relate to the natural world. What do we even mean when we say nature? What's valuable about the sorts of pursuits that you and I are interested in? Like, what's good about running in the forest? Is that the sort of experience that we need to that some harm or wrong has been committed if we don't leave those spaces around for future generations? Um, and now I'm more interested in like climate change specific stuff. So like questions like how quickly should we reduce greenhouse gas emissions? What does like a just energy transition look like? How should you like distribute those costs across nations or across people that live at different times? I'm pretty early on, so I'm in the question stage if you can't tell. But potentially we'll like work towards answers probably on just like one of those questions.
That's a lot of questions. So you mentioned that you were a Fulbright scholar in New Zealand.
But the climate change is sort of the like central organizing thing.
Yeah, well, it is really important. So, and then, so you mentioned that you were a Fulbright scholar in New Zealand, and you were studying. All right, let me get this because I thought it was super fascinating. So I want you to talk about it. You were studying whether indigenous philosophical commitments could coexist with Western philosophical commitments. So that, like, before I even read more, that immediately made me think about like Native American populations and tribal land and things like that. Like because their ancestors are there, or it's like a burial ground or something. It's important. Like, how important is it to like make sure they can have that land versus like maybe we could do something good on it, like set up solar farms or something. So talk a little bit about that. What did you do? So what did you study when you were in New Zealand?
So I was inspired by New Zealand has a couple really cool policies that sort of motivated the whole project. And the biggest one was, it's called the Whanganui River Settlement Act. And so they actually, it sounds kind of crazy when you first talk about it, but they gave legal identity to a river in New Zealand. So essentially they gave this river like all the legal rights that a person would have, like much in the same way as we sometimes do with corporations in the US. And the idea was to try and integrate a little bit of their indigenous population's understanding of that river into the legal system. So by sort of personifying it and giving it rights, it suggests that the river has like interests and should be respected and not just like polluted or used for whatever. So I just went to try and see like how successful was that? Like, is it a total failure when you try and mesh those two like different worldviews together into one policy? Again, not sure I have like a decisive answer to that question either, but it was a great year, and I learned a lot and ran a lot.
I've never heard of that, like giving a river or a tree rights like a human. But when you say like a corporation, now I'm like, okay, now I see where we're going here. And to be honest, I'd rather rights than a corporation anyway.
Yeah, I think there are some. I think in the US there's maybe some like policies that are trying to mimic something similar. I haven't read up on what's happening recently, but I think maybe something going on in Colorado with the Colorado River, people pushing like similar direction. So it was a great.
They start doing that with our trails, like then we're not gonna be able to run on them. Run on a person. Don't tread on me.
Yeah.
So, did you do any running in New Zealand?
Yeah, I definitely did.
So first, let's talk about you started your athletic career cross country skiing, right? And throughout high school and college. Were you recruited to go to college for cross country skiing?
If I was recruited, I've like talked to the coach before. I think I went to Bates. I don't know like totally the whole process. But I ended up there. I skied. It was amazing. Had great teammates. Sort of hated running most of that time. But yeah, that was pretty incredible 4 years.
So what
Great
made you
group.
make the transition from skiing to running?
I think it was, yeah, I was like, oh, okay, I'm done skiing. I'm just gonna like, I'm no longer an athlete. Um, I'll probably work out a few times a week. This was my idea that lasted probably like 2 weeks. And then I signed up for a marathon with some of my friends. Um, and we did that like the spring of my senior year. And I just finished. I was like, oh shoot, well, here, like I'm hooked. And that was a road marathon. So, and then I think I just signed up. Yeah, there was like I said, I live like right in the middle of a trail system, like so lucky. And there's a race held here, the Muslamu Ultra. Um, this great guy John puts on every year, and I was like, well, it's like right outside my door, so I have to sign up. So I did that, and that was just so fun. So I think that's the the trajectory.
Yeah, so you mentioned in a couple interviews that I read about you about Blueberry Hill Farms. So I think that's the bed and breakfast you're in right now, right?
Yeah.
So your parents own that,
Mm-hmm.
and then you said there are like also a lot of trails around where you live. So why don't you like expand on what makes Blueberry Hill just so special to you, and why is it just helped? It obviously helped foster your love for the outdoors. So tell me a little bit about that.
Oh man, yeah. How long do you have? Oh,
Great.
it's just so wonderful. Um, I mean, like my dad is he's done most of the work on like the trails close to us. So it's like I'm running on the stuff that he's been working on for the last 40 years, which is incredible. So it's basically like our trails, and then there's the Musamu National Forest, and that's another great organization, and they have a ton of trails, and then that's within the Green Mountain National Forest. So I'm just like, ah. But yeah, it's like I've been back from school or whatever like 3 summers in a row now, and I still like find new trails or get lost, or like find new ways of connecting the trails. So yeah, just so, and they're also diverse too. There's some that you're in this little like princess fairyland of like open trees, and then some it's just like straight up hills, kind of gnarly. So yeah, I'm just like unbelievably lucky to be able to hang out here. And there's a pond for the end of the run, so that's crucial.
Okay. So I should book my stay at Blueberry Hill.
Should you absolutely should. I will serve you coffee.
All right. Serve coffee by a champion. Yes.
They don't let me do anything else because I'm like I'm a pretty good dishwasher, but I'm a very bad chef, so they keep me out of the kitchen.
So what races did you do in New Zealand?
What did I do? I did a couple sweet trail marathons. Mount Difficulty.
Okay.
um, yeah, the races there are so great. They're usually like, I think this one, I think it was Mount Difficulty. It's like it's on like just the most gnarly steep up and down. Um, and these guys, oh, I think it was the race director of this, but he's like a sheep farmer. So it's like all over like his like land. And he would go out and like, instead of using like an ATV to like herd the sheep or whatever, he would just go running through them. So it was like all these routes that he developed. And they're tough out there. They're so tough. Um, so I did that, and then the like probably most well-known one is the Kepler
Mm-hmm.
challenge. That's on like one of the great walks. I think that's been going on for like 40 years. Super cool. This little town like just blows up and comes together. Um, that was I think like 60K or something, but so beautiful. Just like ridge lines and New Zealand mountains, and yeah, it was amazing.
So they're pretty gnarly. It's pretty gnarly out there as well. Is it comparable to the East Coast?
That one was actually like pretty, it's like on one of the big tourist attraction kind of walks, the Kepler challenge, but the other ones are just like some guy goes out and like puts stakes in the ground and like not often a great trail. Like um yeah, you just kind of like follow these flags around all these random like mountains. Kind of like at one point I think I'm like pulling up on this like grass because it's starting to get so steep. Like so fun.
So going back to your first ultra, how did you do? And how did it like? You obviously caught the bug, but how did you do?
I think I got second woman. Yeah. I don't know. You probably know. Do you have?
I
Could
just
you
looking at the ultra sign. I mean,
talk
I
to me
want
on
to
the
hear from
internet?
you because I know I've talked to a couple other people like Sarah Kais and Alyssa Godesky um
Yeah.
and
Cool.
and
They're so cool.
I know some in my seriously in my experience, like when you have success early, that makes you like really like latch on to what it is. Do you think that like let's say you like didn't have a super great race, like you finished, but maybe you were like, you know, mid back of the pack. Do you think that like it would have like inspired you to keep doing this like how you are? Or do you think you would have been like, oh, I did that and then like maybe 1 year, like not care as much, you know?
Yeah. That's a good question. I'd like to say that I would have kept doing it, but I think it does just like add something. Like the like fight at the front is just like super fun. um I think probably maybe I would have gravitated towards like longer and longer distances just to like still have that challenge if I was like not doing as well. Whereas like doing well, I'm like, okay, I'll just stick like at least for now. I'm like I did 100K, but like pretty excited about sticking with like shorter distances and like trying to get better at those. So I
So
don't know. That's a
for
really
me,
good question though.
like short is like a marathon or like a half marathon or like it's like I mean I haven't really been like too deep in the ultra racing scene in the past year. I've just been doing other stuff, and so I'm like these people who think a marathon is too short. I'm like I die at the end of my like I can't walk the next like couple of days. Like, but like some people just do it like you know. So what makes like the longer distances appealing to you? Like did you were you like a long distance
They're
cross
easier.
country? What do you say?
I think they're easier. I don't know. Like I did that one road marathon, or I did done 2 road marathons now. They're you just suffer more the shorter it gets, and like I don't think I've really raced anything shorter than that, but I can imagine just like doing a 5K or something. It's like the amount you can suffer during that time is just like,
I don't think you can.
uh,
You can. I mean, that's what I'm training for now, like the mile and the 5K.
oh
And
my God.
it's like, I didn't think I thought I knew things and I don't know things. I don't know anything.
Yeah. And I guess I like with the ultras that you can like kind of start to suffer and think that it's not going well, and then you just like pound a PB&J or a goo or something, and all of a sudden it's like you're back in it. So I do like that sort of like ability that you just have the time to like be able to push through those low points, which I think is pretty cool. If you start feeling bad in a 5K, like you're probably done.
Well, see, I think that like the mile, the 5K, granted, I haven't raced a mile yet. I mean, I'm still like very preliminary starting to train for that. Um, the mile, the 5K, not so much the 10K. And then like ultras, yeah, especially when you get longer. So like in the short stuff, it's like you're just going. So like even if you feel like shit or like you feel whatever, like it's short enough that like you might feel awful and it might not be a great result, but like you're probably going to be within like 10 to 30 seconds of like your normal time, whatever. But then in ultras, like you have more control, you have time to turn things around, you know? So, but I feel like that, like the 10K to the marathon, it's like you've got to feel good on the day. There isn't really enough time to like turn it around if you start to feel shitty at mile 3. And like, so I feel like those 3 distances, you're just like, that's a glutton for punishment right there. Like there's not really control. Like if you wake up on the day, like feeling like crap, there you go. You spend like 6 months training for it. So yeah, I mean, definitely the ultras, there's a little bit more you can control, which is kind of nice. Did I lose you again?
Oh, you just. Oh, there you're back.
All right,
Sorry,
cool.
I think my little brother's probably playing some video games or something.
No worries.
I think I got the gist of it though. I also it's totally spot on. That's like, yeah, probably why I avoid those distances.
Like people that are like a half
Probably do
marathon
maybe.
specialist, I'm like, there is something in you that is just like you've got
Yeah.
something, because that's like my like considering I haven't raced anything shorter than a half marathon, I say the half marathon's my hardest distance right now because like it's so hard.
This marathon is your specialty.
I don't really have one. I don't think. I don't know. Cause like I really like being a beginner at things. So like this is about you, but really quick. Like I did all like so I started with half marathons. I did like two or whatever, and then I did my first marathon, and then being around Ian at the running store and like I sort of got swept up into ultras and I liked it. And then like you, I had some success early on. So then I'm like, I'm an ultra runner. So like I didn't like 2 years, I did like only ultras. Then I got burned out, of course, like you do. And I decided to go back to the road and do like shorter stuff and work on speed. And I liked being the feeling of being a beginner again and learning and feeling like I'm really starting from nothing and just building up. And so I've done that for the past like 2 years, just worked on the half and the full marathon. And then with COVID, I thought this year after my last marathon in February that I was going to go back and do more ultras. That seemed like kind of fun. But then with COVID, things got weird. And then I sort of was like, actually, I could just use this time because I'm not going to race again in 2020. To get faster. So then I actually started working directly with a coach, and we're just doing like some mile and 5K stuff right now. So I've been all over the board. I don't have a specialty. I mean, I'm not professional, so I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, that's cool. I feel like I would probably get faster, benefit from like some speed. But yeah.
I feel like I wish I could channel all your guys because I interview all you trail runners, and it's wonderful. And I wish I could channel that, but like just right now for me in my mental head space, especially with my job, I'm like going out for like 3 or 4 hours. I just might die. I don't think I can do it. And I know it's just a time in life, but it's just not something that, what's my palate right now. But talking to you makes me like,
Yeah.
I want to get back out there one day. So let's talk about your recent FKT and the Pemi Loop. So the Pemi Loop is located in New Hampshire. Why did you pick to go out there? Have you been to New Hampshire a lot? Like, what's the history there?
Yeah. I know it feels sort of lame, like it's like I'm not allowed to go over there. Like I should be doing stuff in Vermont. No, it's just iconic, that loop. Even just like looking at it on a map, you're like, I want to run that. I think I've done it quite a few times just with random groups of people. I think I've maybe done it 3 times before. And every time inevitably like we start going a little like slower at the end and everyone gets tired, and like it's always just been in the back of my mind for some reason. I've been a little obsessed with like how fast could I go on it. And I think it's like it's like actually pretty runnable up top there. There's just so many miles of sustained ridge line. And yeah, just like love the idea of trying to see how fast I could go. Yeah, Vermont's still more beautiful, but The whites are certainly something special.
How long is the Pemi loop? Let's preface people here.
The actual like FKT loop, I think, was like just over 28 or 28.5 or something. And there's a couple of offshoots you can do that I did not do.
It took you 6 hours and 31 minutes, which is the female FKT. I think you just are like 3 minutes behind our local Ben nephew over here. He's been on the show as well. And
Oh, cool.
yeah, no, his conversation was great. Like I could talk to him for like 4 hours. He's so smart. So
Oh
it's
my
28
gosh.
miles. So I'm assuming, is it like pretty up and down or like pretty technical terrain? Because that seems just like, a long time.
Well, yeah, it's super. I think the elevation's probably like 9,000 feet to gain. But I would say the biggest like slowdown factor is just it's super technical, super rocky. So I did it, you can do it counterclockwise or clockwise, and I did it counterclockwise, and the last like 5 miles um, are not actually that technical, but the first part is just super slow. Although I say the last miles were not technical, but I tripped twice on these like tiny little rocks. You're doing this like flat kind of road section, and I was just like super tired and yard sailed it in front of these like families out for their walk. So maybe the whole thing is technical.
Well, that's really neat. Did you have crew meeting you at different points?
I camped out the night before with my good friend Grace and new running buddy Becca, and they are amazing. And they started just a little bit before me, so I ended up passing them. And then I just got to the parking lot and napped there for a while till they got there. It was super funny though. The night before, we're just like sitting around in the parking lot and we're kind of nervous, and I see this guy finish and I'm like, oh man, guys, I bet he just like went for it. Like he looked like super tired, like had a little pack on. And there was this woman next to him on a bike. And I didn't recognize her, and we go over and we're like, I'm kind of joking. I'm like, oh, new record? Like you look like you crushed it. And she answers, and it's Jess, who I'd met once, but she was the previous record holder. And she's still there. She actually dropped her time by like 2 or 3 minutes, she said. So I was like, oh shoot. like um but yeah, that was so funny because I didn't recognize her at first, and she was there and did it the day before I did it. So
That just happened with Dylan Bowman and Tyler Green, I think his name is, on
oh yeah.
Trail.
Oh cool. On the same day or different?
Dylan did it, and then he was like finishing, and then Tyler like started and then took it from him. So Dylan crushed it by like a couple hours, and then Tyler beat his record by like a couple minutes. I don't know. It was pretty close.
Yeah, it made me so nervous seeing her, and I hadn't really like, I don't know, I don't usually get that nervous. And I saw her, I was like, oh wow. like, and she's amazing. She's super nice. I'm sure she could take a ton of time off of it. I died at the end, but I was definitely like, oh, I got my work cut out for me.
Yeah. So how much did you beat the FKT by?
If she dropped hers from like 6:50 something, like 25 minutes, I think.
Okay, all right. So and you're like in the
Yeah.
top 10 for like just everybody. So that's pretty, I don't know what it is. You're actually, I think, in the top 5. So, it's pretty steep. Like, it's very, very impressive.
I really think there's some time on the flats. I don't think I've died that hard in a while.
So you do think like there are some parts where you're like, oh, I could have done so much better right there or whatever.
I think the last, like, I was kind of planning, I don't know, for the next lady that goes out to try and crush it, I would think about going the opposite direction, um, and try and do those like flat, fast miles kind of fast at the start. Because I was like thinking I'll be okay, like I'll really chug along on those last ones, I'll have adrenaline, and I just was like, I just stopped at a stream, was like, I had 2 miles left, and I was like contemplating walking.
But that's really awesome though, because I mean, like sub 6, come on, like that's the
Yeah.
next.
Oh, someone's
You think sub 6 you could do?
don't look at me, but not no.
Look out for
Not
those
me,
out
but
there,
I feel like yeah, 6:15. Uh, we could talk, but yeah,
Well,
six.
I
I don't
don't
know,
want to
but
talk about
someone's totally got it.
because I think you need to enjoy this FKT experience. I'm totally into just
Yeah.
letting the glow happen. Be like, just it's all right. You did a cool thing. So,
Yeah, it was a great day out there. Lucky.
the last thing I want to touch on is you are coached by David Roach. How long have you been coached by him?
I reached out to him when I was in New Zealand. So that was like 2017, 2018, I think. It just was like, I'm running a lot. Like, I feel like I should have some guidance here. So yeah, that's been really great. He's totally wonderful. Just like, I think like the power of self-belief, I like could be skeptical of, but he's really like shown, um yeah, just thinking positively about yourself, like on the day to day, like really does, like there's benefits to that, both running and in life. So yeah, super stoked to be working with him. Thanks, David.
Yeah, no, he's wonderful. I've noticed that a lot of his athletes are like, not all of them, obviously, but come to him kind of. They're either like injured, maybe overtrained, a little burned out, but very ambitious, very talented, or they're like older, um, because his approach is very like, you know, um, like you said, be very kind to yourself, like not overdoing it, not overworking things, which is great. But did any of those, and obviously not the older, but did any of those situations like apply to you? Like, did you think like he's very attractive to people that are like, I just feel like crap, and I don't want to feel like crap anymore? Did any of those situations apply to you, or did you like how did you choose him for your coach?
um I don't think any of them super applied. I think I was probably just more worried about them applying. And was definitely probably a bit burned out of skiing in college near the end, and was like, oh, I know, like I'm just like obsessed with, especially in New Zealand. I was like, I just like finished one race and I want to do the next one. And had just like read stuff and like seen a lot of like female athletes kind of drop off the map, and like really I'm like, if I want to keep doing this, I want to like be in a good headspace, and yeah, definitely not overdo it. And like I know my psychology, like I definitely could just like dig myself into a hole, and like just more is not always better. So yeah, I think it was just like a little bit like anticipating and knowing myself, and that's like what I could do. So yeah.
So how many years have you been working with him now?
What is it now? 2020. So like two and a half. Yeah. I feel like time is so weird these days. I have a really hard time like thinking about time. Yeah, and that's just been so cool to like think about goals that are like, especially with COVID, it's like, oh, maybe I'll just have a goal that's like 2 years from now, and I can just make like very slow incremental progress towards that, and don't really need to worry so much about like whether I'm doing exactly the right thing in the day to day, and just have fun with it.
So what are your goals for 3 to 5 years?
Finish my PhD. I don't know. I think I would like to do a 100-miler at some point. Yeah. Um,
But when you say
it
do
would
a
be
100-miler, you want to win a 100-miler.
I want to race. I want to race a 100
Race
miler. Like I would like to like feel. Yeah, I would like to feel like I can like push it. I guess I don't really know what 100 mile feels like. Like you're always gonna be pushing it, but yeah, like Western States appeals to me because of the like vibe, and I want to like get all my friends there and make them t-shirts and like just have a party. It also seems very hot, with love, but I don't know. That definitely has like worked its way into my mind a little bit. Um, yeah, and then just like keep running in Vermont. I think a lot. Keep loving my home trails. Oh no, my biggest goal is to well, it was to break the men's course record on the Moose Lamoo race, my first ultra. But a couple of my friends just or my friend just lowered it significantly this year, so that's like tough one.
Well, the good thing about us is that we're young.
Yeah, 10 years to break the Moose Lamoo record. So
So what's a
you
training
hear that?
what's a training week like under David Roach for you, like normally?
Um, it's like easy runs. I take Monday off. Um, Easy runs Tuesday, Thursday. Some kind of intervals on Wednesday. Something like long, maybe with some speed on Saturday, and then like longish, medium long on Sunday, and then a lot of like short kind of stridey, like 4 by 30 second like hills and stuff. Um, yeah, that's like pretty much that. I like the routine of just like that's your week,
Mm-hmm.
doing that over and over again. But I bought a mountain bike this summer, which I've been very excited about.
That's
So
cool.
that's been thrown in there a bit too.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fan of cross training, so that's especially when it's like very similar to what you're doing. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Well, Britta, this is lovely to talk to you.
So,
What'd you say?
oh, the Vikings. So
It is. It really is. It's just like it also just like it feels like it just like makes my legs a little bit like if I don't run and I bike, like it just seem a little bit like they're peppy for the next day.
yeah, totally.
Well, Britta, it has been wonderful to talk to you. And so to close out the interview, I like to play a little game called Ideal Aid Station. Would you like to play?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. So what you're coming into an aid station. What is your favorite sweet snack?
Ooh, sweet snack. Um, Gummy bears. Like not the sour ones, I guess. That feels hard, but like yeah. Or M&Ms and gummy bears
Okay,
mixed.
buffet, fruit salad. Favorite salty snack.
Chips for sure.
Um,
Pickles, also good, but
yeah,
chips.
pickles or pickle chips. Those are a thing.
Okay, pickle chips. Final answer.
Favorite hot food.
Ooh. Um, the Musumu Ultra has grilled cheeses, which I can't say that I've ever manage to finish an entire one, but yeah, something nice about hot cheese, maybe. Um, yeah. I'm
Hot
not
cheese
sure
all
that's my favorite.
the time. Favorite
Favorite what?
sports drink?
Oh, sports drink. I think I just go what is it? Arctic Cherry Gatorade.
Nice. Favorite non-sports drink?
Oh, this is an aid station.
Yeah.
Coffee. Yeah, coffee.
Or cold brew if it's hot.
Ooh, yeah. No, that's good. Yeah.
All right, favorite piece of gear or like item that maybe you just want at your aid station?
Do my friends count as gear?
No, but that can play into the next one.
Oh, okay. Favorite piece of gear. Um, that's a good one. I like need a good hairband to keep this kind of like together. So
Yeah.
if it snaps or something, you can actually realize.
You do have very beautiful hair.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, and then last question. So you can choose a friend if you want. I'll let you. Celebrity or like person that you want at your aid station that maybe you could convince to run a couple miles with you, or you would just like see them and automatically just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
If I only get one, that's tough, but if I only get one, it'd probably be my friend Gracie. She has lived with me I think I mentioned earlier, she's lived at the inn and worked here with me a few summers, and into the Penny lived with me, and it's just a rock star. So I want so many others that I would want. So hard
Well,
to
I'll
choose.
allow Gracie because she seems like a very important person.
Yes.
Well, Britta, this has been lovely. Where can people find you on Instagram? Do you have a website?
um, I have an academic page and I have an Instagram that I rarely post on, but it's Britta Filters.
Oh, nice.
Because I get a lot of water filter jokes. I think I probably post much more regularly on Strava than any other form of social media. So if you really want to like see my boring runs, you can follow me there. I post a witty caption once in a while. So
I will link that in the description.
and anyone should come and run in the Moose National Forest at the Blueberry Hill Outdoor Center. Tons of trails, so I'll show anyone around.
Yeah, I'm tempted. I mean, I'm looking for places to visit soon, just maybe for like a weekend or just to get away. So now I'm tempted.
Yeah, we have camping too, so just pull
Oh,
up
I
and
don't
camp
camp.
on the. Okay.
That's a joke. It's a long story. Well,
Okay.
thanks, Britta. It was lovely to talk to you tonight. Thank you for doing this for me, and I will let you know when the episode goes out.
Cool. Thank you.
Have
It's
a good
great
night.
to talk to you.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.